Have you ever wondered why your practice still feels chaotic even after you've tried to hire front desk help or front desk support? Or maybe why you're still missing calls, maybe you're taking calls yourself, and why you're still losing patients even though you're technically paying for admin help? Or even worse, maybe you've been dealing with a ton of turnover at the front desk. And in this video, I'm going to help you expose the real reason why that's happening. Now, here's what we're going to cover in this training. Number one, I'm going to talk about why part-time admin help almost always fails in healthcare practices. Number two, we're going to talk about the hidden reason that revenue leaks are actually caused because of your part-time admin help. Number three, we're going to talk about what actually works if you want reliable call handling and fast response times inside of your cash practice. Now, this is the exact system that I actually used inside of my cash PT practice to add $120,000 back every single year without hiring in-person and in-house admin help. And by the end of this, I want to show you the exact steps so that you can add this fix to your front desk as well. All right, let's jump in. Number one, why part-time admin help almost always fails. Now, I know you guys, it feels cozy and it feels safe because you're growing in your cash practice, and ultimately you want to have some help, but you're not busy enough to afford full-time help in your office. I know because I was in the exact same shoes. I was trying to figure out how do I get help in my practice, but I ultimately didn't have the money or the revenue to support a full-time admin. And some of you guys, and I know I was included, was like, I don't even know what they're going to do all day. I don't want to pay somebody 40 hours to sit around and do nothing. And so what most of you do is you'll go and you'll hire, a friend or a family member or a significant other or the college student or maybe just an intern, right? And you go to hire somebody and you bring them on part-time and you're like, hey, you can grow with the practice. That's the goal. But what actually happens is they come in, they seem great on paper, and within 2 to 3 months, ultimately this person isn't with the practice anymore, or they are significantly underperforming and you're stuck dealing with it. And the reason that part-time admin help doesn't work is for several reasons, and one of which is because typically they need another job to actually be able to support that amount of revenue that they're missing out of. And when they're working another job, they're actually invested not only in you, but also something else, whether that's they're a student or maybe they are working another job during normal business hours. Maybe they are a college student, or maybe they have a family, right? Maybe you hired a mom who's got a new kid, and ultimately she's only partly invested at that point. And so now you've got somebody who's half invested, and that ultimately leads to half results for your practice. Because now they don't get enough practice reps of actually taking phone calls because you're taking a portion of them, and maybe you're not a busy enough practice anyways. Then what happens is because they're not getting enough practice and they're not getting enough reps, they actually struggle to get up to speed and convert as well as you do. And so now you don't actually trust them to take phone calls, and most likely what you're going to do is you will take those phone calls back over. And so now we've got this really weird process where you're paying somebody for front desk help, but they're not actually doing the very thing that you hired them to do. Or if they are doing it, they're whiffing on a ton of leads as we go. Now they're becoming interested in something else, and they leave because a new shiny object comes up. Maybe they get offered a full-time position, or you simply let this person go because they aren't performing. But more often than not, most people just tolerate the things that they have going on, right? They just tolerate this front desk person until ultimately they end up leaving. And what that does is that causes you to lose a lot of money in revenue. And that brings us to point number two. There's a lot of hidden revenue leaks because you have a part-time admin. So not only do they not work out because they're going to never get up to speed and ultimately they're going to leave after a couple of months, now I'm actually losing revenue. So I'm paying somebody in revenue, or I'm paying somebody a salary and I'm losing revenue on top of it. It's kind of a double whammy. And really, you hired this person so that you could free up your time and actually grow your practice. And now you're stuck babysitting somebody and you're stuck doing as much work because you just don't trust them yet. And that's like the worst place to be, right? And so, what mostly happens is because you have part-time admin help, maybe you have them come in from, 8 to 12 a couple days a week, and now you have these really long layover periods where you don't actually have admin help. And so now when somebody opts in at, 3 p.m. one day, they give your office a call and your admin isn't actually in the office until later the next morning. Now I've got a really long window before someone has returned that call. Or you have to shoot that person a text message, or maybe you give them a call after you've been treating patients all day. And so now the very thing that you look to get help with, you're having to do as well. And so ideally, we need to be calling leads within, obviously, we need to be picking up the inbound dial if it's coming, or ideally within 5 minutes of that person opting in. Because what happens when that lead comes in and I'm getting back to them ASAP or within 5 minutes, research continues to show that we have 100 times increase in someone buying if they're called within 5 minutes. 100 times. That's massive. Versus what most of us do right now, which is called the next day or several hours later, we've already missed out on that opportunity. And so now that lead is either called another office or they just quite frankly never answer because you look unprofessional and they think, well, I'll keep just calling around until I actually get somebody that does answer the phone. Or they need an appointment that day, which is oftentimes what I hear as well. Somebody had a day off and they're like, hey, I need to get this fixed while I have my day off so I don't have to take more time off. And ultimately, they're going to call down the list until someone answers. And ideally, that's a lot of lost revenue. Because for every single patient, I know on average across multiple industries, PT, chiro, functional medicine, this is going to ebb and flow a little bit. But I know across multiple practices, what typically happens is if I don't have people that are, if I'm not scheduling one person, that's potentially a $1,500 to $2,000 loss in plan of care revenue. And so for every single person that you don't answer the phone for, you're letting $2,000 walk out of the door. And so how much is that affecting your practice? And for many of you guys, that 2,000 can pay for your admin's, salary for the entire month. And ultimately, that 100x increase in sales, now if you're running paid advertising, actually has a big marker and actually makes your ads profitable. So if you're paying an agency or your ad spend, now suddenly, but your return on ad spend is just much, much higher than it once was. And then lastly, there has to be a better way to fix this. There's so many cash practices popping up more than ever. PT, chiro, functional medicine, you name it. Everybody, massage, everybody wants to get into the cash world. And with that, most of the time, they're small one or two provider clinics and they can't actually afford full-time help. So what's the solution to this? And how do you guys deal with this? Because ultimately, when you have the right solution in place, your calls are answered on as they are dialed in, or ideally within 5 minutes. This now leads to objections being handled confidently. Leads don't get cold where they're just sitting in your CRM forever, only to die and never get called. Where we're actually tracking metrics daily so that you know where your front desk person actually is falling. And this is exactly why I have completely transitioned over to getting nearshore virtual admins for cash practices, where we basically take somebody who is fully trained, or we get them like 70% of the way there. And then ultimately we train them specific to whatever your offer is in your practice. Because now I can afford full-time phone coverage for less than what I would pay somebody for part-time coverage in my current clinic. And if I'm getting full-time coverage, ultimately what happens now is leads are followed up with quickly, and I'm adding a lot of revenue back to the practice. And so many people are, they just will hire cheap talent. They'll just hire somebody part time around the corner from them, only to end up with these massive gaps in their schedule. And this is why I love hiring virtual admins, especially from Latin America, because they're great in English speakers. They also speak Spanish, of course. And so from that point, it really tackles the bilingual market, but it also significantly helps because they're hardworking. They're going to be calling your leads as they come in, as opposed to several hours down the road, and they're going to convert just as well as US talent. And we ran this as a beta test because I was very hesitant to hire Latin American talent because I was worried about the accent or I was worried about their ability to convert. And what I found is with the right training and the right systems, these people are converting just as well as US talent. And this is after I've hired hundreds of front desk staff and tested it across both markets. So now I have full time coverage, leads are followed up with quickly. I'm not having to take as many phone calls. And this is exactly what we did inside my cash practice as well, where I've got good quality talent. They're college educated and they're hungry and ready to work very hard. And that's what added back thousands of dollars inside of my cash practice every single month and continues to do it for other folks as well. So now you really understand the detriment and the problem with hiring part-time staff. It can be an absolute silent killer of growth for your practice. And I want you guys to fix that as well. Now, if you want to chat about potentially getting one of our Latin American VAs inside your practice, all you have to do is click the scheduling link with us below. We can talk through pricing, see if it makes sense, and see if it's even a good solution for your practice. Or maybe you just want my entire hiring and training course that I've built. We've used it with over hundreds of in-person as well as virtual admins. And it's the exact same process that I can give you as well so that you can train your front desk to convert as well as you do. And so the way you can do that is there's a link. It's inside of our front desk school community. We've got over 2,100 docs in there at the time of recording this. Would love to see you on the inside and get you the same resources. All right, we'll see you guys on the side of the next video.